Meeting is now called to order. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, the roll call.
Mayor Burchill.
Here.
District 1 Morstead.
Here.
District 2 Yakub.
Here.
District 3 Bernard.
Here.
District 4 Weiland.
Here.
District 5 Hoggett.
Here.
District 6 Spanslow.
Here. At this point in the meeting, we have comments or suggestions from citizens present. If you'd like to address the council on anything that's not on the agenda, now is your time. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council? If not, consent agenda items. Madam Clerk.
To approve the public hearing and regular meeting minutes of May 16th, 2011. To schedule a public hearing for Tuesday, July 5th, 2011 at 6:55 p.m. to consider amending Chapter 255-28 to allow accessory dwellings above detached garages in 1- and 2-family residential districts. To approve claims for payment in the amount of $404,305.34. A detailed description is available in the clerk's office on request and is posted on the city's website. To approve the issuance of 6 regular operators licenses for the period June 7th, 2011 to June 30th, 2012, and the renewal and issuance of 14 regular operators licenses for the period July 1st, 2011 to June 30th, 2013, and the issuance of 4 temporary operators licenses to be used July 1st through 3rd, 2011 during Hudson Booster Days in Lakefront Park, and the issuance of 1 temporary operator's license to be used June 21st, 2011 during the Pee Wee International Hockey Tournament Picnic in Lakefront Park. Additional information about operators' licenses are available in the clerk's office on request. To approve the issuance of a second-hand article and second-hand jewelry dealer's license to Jeff A. Parsons, doing business as TRH and Associates Incorporated, for a purchasing event on June 28th through July 1st, 2011 at the Hudson House Inn, 1616 Crestview Drive. To approve the following new EMS rates: for supplies, oxygen, $75, spinal immobilization, $120. For non-transport fees, BLS support and ALS support, evaluations no charge. ALS 1 treatment, $500, ALS 2 treatment, $900, lift assistance 3 times per year, $100, dedicated event standby medic only, $45 an hour, and EMS crew ambulance, $75 per hour. To approve the appointment of John K. Gardy as the liquor license agent for Chipotle Mexican Grill at 1021 Pearson Drive. To approve the issuance of a taxicab service license to Universal Transportation Services, doing business as Ninja Cab Company, and taxicab driver's licenses to David J. Corte and Dominic P. Rohde for the period July 1st, 2011 to June 30th, 2012, contingent on receipt of the certificate of insurance. To approve the issuance of a temporary Class B license to the Hudson Fathers Club to sell beer on June 21st, 2011 at the Pee Wee International Hockey Tournament Picnic at Lakefront Park from 5 till midnight. To approve the proposed contract for agreements with Brian Wirt Inspection Agency and All Croy Inspections for building inspection services for the city on an as-needed basis. To schedule a public hearing for 6:45 p.m. on July 5th, 2011, and to refer to Plan Commission for review and recommendation regarding application from the Riverbank for rezoning a 63.8 parcel at the southwest quadrant of State Highway 35 and Hanley Road from the General Business District to Light Industrial District, and to request to amend the comprehensive plan to change the 2030 master plan map land use designation from general business to industrial. To place on file the quarterly report of the Parks and Public Works Director, the semi-annual report of the IT Coordinator, and the minutes of the May 24th, 2011 Community Access Board, and the St. Croix EMS Commission minutes of April 13th, 2011 and May 11th, 2011. And that is all.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
I have one question. We didn't sign any of our...
Need to sign the claims?
Claims. Yep.
Okay, I'll get those.
Okay. Roll call vote.
Wyland?
Yes.
Bernard?
Yes.
Morset?
Yes.
Yakub?
Yes.
Paget?
Yes.
Vanslo?
Yes.
Okay, that leads us into our Planning Commission. Final development plans for Walgreens store at 141 Carmichael Road. Who's here tonight to talk about that? There you go. You're on.
That's not on
That
consent.
was on,
No, it wasn't. It was pulled.
oh, okay.
I think the boards
Yep.
are over in the corner. If we can.
Here, we'll set that up, huh? Or that could be, in fact, I'll hold it up.
Or actually, Alan, with the two of us can hold it.
Yep,
Yeah,
okay.
better for you. Where would you like us? Where's it?
I think up in front so people can see it. Pardon? Okay. Why don't you introduce yourselves? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
yep.
My name's John Kohler. I'm an architect with Semper Development. With me is Alan Ketchpool from CEI Engineering. They're the project engineers. What you are looking at is a site plan of the proposed store. Carmichael would be, get out here so I can, is along the east side, golf course to the west. The overall development of Target in 94 is to the south, and this is the Culver's Restaurant to the north. We're proposing a 14,490 square foot Walgreens store. We do meet all the city parking requirements. The front door is located in this area with an ADA accessible walk out to sidewalk on Carmichael. There will be a drive-through that's going to be located on the north side in this location. This is a one-way drive going to here. It'll be two-way in this back area just for service. This area does just serve the service area of the building. We're also proposing a sidewalk for a future connection over to the Culver's restaurant. So front door, the drive-through service. The look of the building, I'll give you this one. It's an all-brick building all the way around. The front door, this would be the side facing south. This will be the side facing Carmichael. Here's the front door on that Carmichael side. The back sides also pick up that same brick and that same detailing. You're seeing the drive-through side here, and this is the service side facing the gas station. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone may have. We've picked up all the engineering comments, I believe, that your consulting engineers had, gone over everything with Denny, and that's kind of it.
And by the way, it was approved by Planning Commission. So questions from the council?
What's the construction timeline?
Construction plans are just beginning based on hopefully an approval tonight. Then we'll go for full bore on the construction plans and get going later this season so that we can get in and get all of our site work done before fall. I hate to think about before fall on a day that it's 90, but we do have to think about that.
Al, did we, I know you addressed in Plan Commission the traffic impact, but on that intersection, safety concerns or whatnot, turning in stoplights, stop signs. I mean,
Oh, I think it would be, I don't believe the DOT would allow us to have a stoplight at that.
I'm just, has that been addressed?
I think the number of, we talked a lot about that. I think the issue that we have here is it's not a high volume at different times of the day. It's more of a, what did you call it, a trickle?
It's actually more of a trickle of traffic all day. If you think about going to a local pharmacy, there are probably 15 or 20 cars in the parking lot at any given time. One or two come in, one or two go out. So as opposed to a bank or a fast food, from a traffic standpoint, it's pretty good use.
Or even a big event like at the golf course or.
Right.
Yeah. So, we spent quite a bit, we had a lot of time on that. Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any other discussion or any questions you need answered? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Looks like a nice project.
We better, Denny may want those. I don't.
Yeah, why don't you leave them in case Denny would want them. Thank you. Item 5, under Finance Committee, review stockholder report for alcoholic beverage license, consider ordinance 10-11. Mr. Morset.
Well, I just think it's redundant that we're asking for the same information on our state of Wisconsin application So me and Nancy came up with a change of language for the original license, and that, in fact, we dropped the percentage, because I really don't think it's anybody's business knowing what percentage of what. It seemed redundant to me,
Okay.
and I think Nancy maybe, but maybe not, but I'll move for first reading.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, can you, for the viewing audience, can you lay out what the change is and why?
Well, we're asking for officers, directors, shareholders, and partners. And on the original form, we're asking for the percentage of stock. And I don't think we need to do that. Me personally, as a businessman, I wouldn't want people knowing whether I have 1% or 99%. It just doesn't seem like it's something we...
It's not required by the state, and on the state
Correct.
form, we ask the same questions, except we don't ask percentage.
It's a bit of housekeeping.
And do you have any opinion on it?
No, we just verified that it's not required by the state. The city can do it if it wants to, but it's not required.
Interesting. I wonder why we came up with it to begin with.
We can't figure that out.
No one can answer.
Figure that out.
We did
can't-
look at the minutes
Yeah.
when it was adopted, and there wasn't anything in the minutes on the rationale.
I kind of wonder if it was an old state law that sunsetted.
Or boilerplate
Or
form.
sunset, yeah. Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. Is that for first reading?
Yep.
We need a roll call vote with that? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, consider long-range plan for city computer system. We've talked a lot about it. Lee and I have talked about it. Randy brought it up last meeting, and I'd like to appoint an ad hoc committee for that. And Lee will be the chairman if he so does, if he will accept the charge, and Randy will be on the committee, and Devin and Mike Kruger. So I'd like for them to come back with a recommendation. Again, this is a operating committee of the council, so will need to do the open meeting and notice rules. So if the council is okay with that, I'd like a motion to appoint an ad hoc committee to study our long-range needs for the computer. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Do you have a time frame in mind for which? is
Well,
the
why
ad
don't we
hoc-
have we'll look at getting back to us by September 30th? Does that seem like a reasonable time frame?
It does, because we want to have it in line with this fall's budget or
Yep.
consideration for next year if there's any recommendations.
So-
And what we talked about is kind of both the city computer system and what I'd asked for is kind of an overall view of technology. Is that acceptable within the parameters of this
I
committee?
think so, yeah.
Okay.
Everybody okay with that?
I'm just there for the
September
looks.
30th seems like a good number.
Yeah. And the recommendation for the City Hall computer system, September, overall, we'll work on what our objectives are in our attack plan.
Okay?
Does that include police, fire, integration with all that? Is that even necessary, or how does that, because they support all of that, right?
In my view of the request for this committee was to look at technology citywide
Yeah.
and say, where should we be investing?
Yep.
City Hall computer system right now is a key one we want to look at, but from telecommunications to squad car to wireless, I mean, the whole thing I want to look at is a technology plan.
Okay?
good.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Consider the annual renewal of alcoholic beverage license for period 7/1/2011 to 6/30/2012. And that particular person, or company is Chipotle's Mexican Grill for beer only. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Public Works, Mr. Zuli. Consider options for repair of Second Street and Vine intersection.
Well, we've presented this at the last Public Works meeting, and I presented the Public Works Committee with several options. One would be to inject high-density polymer foam to raise the concrete and just to level the intersection. There's another option to remove a couple panels and replace those concrete panels. We've got a option of mud jacking the intersection to try to level some of the concrete to level that off. We've got a reconstruct of the entire intersection and replace it with bituminous pavement. And we have option number 5 is a total reconstruct that we've presented about a year ago. So at the last Public Works meeting, it was recommended that we go with option 1, which would be a foam injection leveling of the concrete. And I guess it's certainly a discussion topic it's just open for discussion at this point. We got as many options as we could. I think the big question is how long is it going to be before we replace the entire intersection? With this option 1, there is going to still be some maintenance involved. The concrete still is, there's voids in the concrete where that is, the concrete's deteriorating. Even with option 1 and 2 and I believe 3, we're still going to have some of that maintenance, ongoing maintenance. So that's something to consider.
In my mind, if we, as a council, are not committed to resurfacing Vine Street in the next 3 to 5 years, then option 1 is not the most prudent option to go with. If we can't say to ourselves that we're going to do that, then we should be going with option 4 and reconstruct the whole intersection.
Can I
You
ask?
mean option 5?
Option 5, I'm sorry, option 4.
Option 4 is actually removing all the concrete, some curb and gutter, some pedestrian ramps, and then resurfacing with bituminous. And that $56,000 does not include any traffic control.
How much did you have in your budget, did we put for capital expenditure next year or for this year for that particular project?
$25,000.
So
Option 1 would fit in that category.
So the issue comes in, you're going to have to look at other projects, and if we decide that we want to do, and then take away from the other projects, because there is no more money.
Not necessarily. We could certainly take it out of the contingency or the general fund for 25,000. I think we did that once before in the past for the emergency washout of 6th Street Hill up here.
When would we be doing this project? I don't remember seeing that, the time. Would it be later this summer, or would it be in the fall?
Well, the first thing, once the council makes a decision, it's been brought to my attention by the city attorney that seeing that if we would go with option 1, like the Public Works Committee recommends, that we should put this out for bid because it's so close to the $25,000. So we'd have to put it in make some specifications and put it in the paper for 2 weeks and put it on the website, and we could go after that.
So the
Next month, or we could get it done in the next few month or 6 weeks or 2 months.
I have a couple of questions about the different options. Obviously, the polymer injection process, it's a plastic of sorts. Why is that beneficial versus mud jacking, which is a cement injection?
The way I understand it is that the foam injection is the foam can be there has to be holes drilled, and you can inject this at any point in time. With the mud jacking, because it's cement involved, that truck has a high concentration of cement, and it's pretty hard to really monitor how much you put in and how fast, and when you drive on it, it's pretty and even the quotes we got, they said we'll do the best we could. I wasn't really impressed with the options that they gave because of the
Second
the
question.
process.
Yep, and I understand that you probably would have, it's like super great stuff. You probably have more control over the great stuff going in than the
I believe so, yes.
All right, so option 2, we're taking out the cement panels that are broken up. We're replacing the cement panels. We're basically reconstructing the surface of the intersection. Are we not?
that would be option 4.
That's option 2. Option 4
doesn't.
is putting in down,
There's
option
two,
2 was replacing the cement panels.
No,
No,
The two
Remove the
cracked
two
ones, it
cracked
says.
concrete
Remove
oh,
and
just the
replace
two cracked ones,
concrete.
but reconstructing the entire intersection would be 4.
you explained that, Tom. It's not the whole panels.
there's two panels that are 8 by 13 panels that are really cracked up. Those would be replaced, and then the rest of the, when you're heading northbound, when you're just about through the entire intersection, that's where the worst bump is. That would be replaced, or that would be leveled, so.
Tom, we don't solve any problem by replacing it if we don't get down into the base and fix that, do we?
No. Well, I mean, with this injection foam,
Well, with
you
the
are
injection,
soil
you are.
stabilizing, we are
But
stabilizing the
replacing
soil.
panels is gonna do us absolutely no good. I'm not an engineer. Maybe we should have a comment.
Well, it looks to me like replacing those panels takes care of the substrate issue in those areas, and then the injection mold, or injection takes care of the instability under the other panels, if I'm reading this correctly.
Let's have,
Well, we
Okay.
can, Lee had a question a little bit earlier about the difference between mud jacking and the polymer injection. And the big difference, I mean, they're both injecting a material and raising up the concrete. The thing about the polymer is it's a lightweight foam. So if we have porous soils underneath, the polymer is lighter than putting in the concrete, the mud. And so what's happening is all of a sudden you're adding more weight. If you have porous soils, you're just gonna get the deflection, it's gonna settle. Where the foam will distribute the weight and you won't have as much, more weight going down on the porous soils.
Well, what's the life expectancy of
Yeah, I was gonna ask
that injection? I mean, like you said, it's a lightweight polymer.
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's why Tom was saying earlier, temporary. When are we gonna reconstruct Vine Street? I mean, we are doing the feasibility study on it now, the storm drainage, which is also the reconstruction of Vine Street. But the question is when?
And the DOT's coming through in 2015 to do Second Street, right?
Well, we haven't got any guaranteed time frame. We're working with them and trying to, that's dependent if we would have, say, an infrastructure project such as if there's a water main or sewer main. And I know, talking with the water director, that there is a need for a water main from Second Street toward North Hudson.
And we also know that if we do Vine Street, we're gonna have to probably have to add capacity for stormwater.
Absolutely. In fact, that was part of the original proposal from last year, the total reconstruct, that I think they were going to install a 30-inch storm sewer pipe through the intersection.
So if all these options, 1 through 4, we repair the surface for however many years it is gonna be repaired for, but we may end up tearing it up again in 2 years if we do Vine Street, or in 4 years if we do,
Second Street.
Second Street.
Yeah.
I would think I don't think we'd probably get to that in the next 2 years.
No.
Would you?
What, Vine Street?
Yes.
No.
No.
Tom, didn't you, I'm sorry.
I don't even believe there is no schedule for 2015.
No.
No, there's not for Second Street.
No.
All right, I'd
Not
heard
really
two
on the
things.
radar yet.
Yep.
Tom, didn't you mention that for option number 1, that the life expectancy was, I thought you'd said around 10 years?
Mr. Gibbs is right here, and that's my understanding, that it should last up to 10 years.
Okay, so I remembered.
For the polymers, sorry.
Is it guaranteed for 10 years?
Sure, would you? And again, we're gonna have to bid this project out, folks, so.
I'm Steve Gibbs with Eurotech ICR Northern US, and our company is is option number 1, the foam injection underneath the concrete. The material was basically discovered back in 1985. After a few tweaks back in the early 90s, they put material in the ground, and it is still in the ground and as stable as it was when it was put in. The life expectancy of the repair is going to be, the warranty on the material itself is 10 years. So you're not going to find that with any other type of material. The life expectancy is until you tear that intersection out. And just to back this up, I live at 1302 2nd Street. I drive over that intersection every day, and if this gets delayed anymore, you guys are buying me new shocks. The deal is, you can tweak that intersection, make it last, make it serviceable until you can get the repairs done. Whatever method you choose, all I ask is that we don't sit on it any longer, even if I don't get the job. I don't want to drive over it every day. So if you have any other questions of me, please ask. Otherwise, I'll let you move on with your meeting.
If we do this, I would prefer doing option one because
Thank
for
you.
the reasons you just mentioned, that it will last 5 to 10 or 10 years is what you're
Yeah.
suggesting, and it's the least invasive to the downtown traffic in this season. I don't like closing a second street this season. Anyone has seen the traffic when the Stillwater Bridge gets closed. I'm not willing to go through all that if we have something that will help Second Street and last until we actually have to tear up the street whether it's 2015 or 16 or whatever that magic number is.
And this is a one-day project.
It's one day, so you,
Yeah.
It's a one day on a Sunday.
On a Sunday.
I mean, and I don't understand why we have to go out for bid if it's not at the 25,000 mark.
Well, it's just so close, and
I think it's,
Well, I may have a solution to that, possibly. I'll throw this out here. I'm kind of leaning towards option two, only that you've got cracked panels that are cracked. Can't we use this foam to jack up the ones we need to jack up and actually replace those? Because anything that's cracked and anything that moves is going to continue to break down. And so if you don't actually replace those panels, in a few years you may have additional deterioration. I'd like to hear from my engineer about that. If we did option one, what's going to happen with the current panels that are already cracked and moving?
Go ahead. Sam, yes.
Yeah, as Tom said, the cracks are still gonna be there, and he's gonna have to continue to do maintenance on those cracks throughout the years, whether it's, 2012 to 2015.
Which means you still get water passing through them, we still get all the things underneath are going
Right,
to be.
right. And right now, the gutter in that area is in poor condition too. And so, there's gonna be water going in through the gutters.
I'd be leaning towards some married solution here where we repair the concrete that needs to be repaired and level that stuff that needs to be leveled. I know the other option we got on the table is to go with option 4. There, we're tearing everything up or throwing the bituminous back down, which is going to have a 15-year life plan, probably with the
If you put the bituminous down, that can be even longer than 15 with the proper maintenance throughout the years.
But we're doing nothing to the base, though.
No, they were gonna do the base. They
Were
were
they?
gonna take out the gravel.
Rebuilding the whole thing.
Yeah,
So then what's the difference
reconstruct
between
it.
4 and 5, which would be a full reconstruction? I don't understand I guess I need some education on that.
5 was a concrete. Replace it all with concrete and put in new curb and gutter and the storm sewer, the 30-inch storm sewer.
which is what it really needs, but it's 160.
Right, I understand that,
There's-
but
It's 188.
The question is how
last
much
one we
money
had.
to put at it, because we will be tearing out that intersection, so we have to do storm sewer. We know we have to do water through there to North Hudson, so at some point, we're gonna throw away whatever money we're putting in it.
right.
So the question is, how much money do you put in it for what period of time, and will it last long enough? To Randy's point, if we don't spend enough money on it, then we could be throwing it away in 2 years if we don't have enough warranty.
I also think there's a possibility that the parking lots, the boat launch or there's another funding source there with the, the beach house pavement project, which was budgeted for 30,000. That doesn't necessarily have to get done right now. But indeed,
Andy, that comes out of the parking fund.
no, that was on the capital one.
No, it's
No,
parking.
parking fund.
Okay, well anyways, I really think this is the number one issue right now. We got to do this temporarily right. And for us to do number one just seems like a waste of more money. And realistically, Lee, you've been here long enough and you understand that the wheels and Al, we're not going to get to this project anytime soon for the Vine Street reconstruction. Like you said, the DOT doesn't have us on the radar at all. This is the number one complaint after winter that I receive. The number one complaint, period, that I hear is this intersection. Let's do it somewhat right.
Can I ask just the engineers one more question? Then
Certainly.
Then I'll yield the floor.
Okay.
Sorry. For option number 2, okay, is this replacing the broken panels and all the curb and gutter and leveling that intersection. Do we get all that
No.
with option 2?
Oh,
You're still gonna have some panels that have cracks in them, correct, Tom? If we just do option 2, it's just remaining the 2
Same deal.
northernmost panels,
The cracked ones, yeah.
the cracked ones, but there still are some panels south of that that have cracks in them.
The option 2 is there's 2 panels that are like 13 by 8, 13 feet by 8 feet that are cracked up more than the other ones. Those would be the only 2 that would be repaired, and that is on the northbound lane. And then if we replace those, and then we can still try to get the foam injection for the bigger panels.
so Tom, on number 2, what you're trading off is you're doing you're replacing the 2 concrete panels, but we're doing less of the polymer injection?
Yep.
That's why
Yeah.
it's more
The other
expensive
prob-
to do number 1. That
The
was
other
my
issue
question.
to discuss is that then there's going to be more traffic delays because we're going to have to keep traffic off that for at least 3 days.
Yeah, I don't
So we'll
like
have
that
to detour
trade-off.
traffic probably up to 3 days if we do option 2.
Marty, is it?
So number 1 is actually, sorry, go ahead.
Marty, is September, the bridge being closed at Stillwater, do you remember the date? It's going to be down for, what, 6 weeks, Stillwater Bridge?
I think it's about starts in the middle of September.
Yeah.
Yeah, for maintenance.
And isn't the bridge in North Hudson closing for a bit?
No,
Going
I
to
don't
North
think
Lake
so.
Malibu?
It's down to 1 lane.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be closed, will it?
Okay.
We don't have to talk about that now. It's not on the agenda.
Okay.
Can you, one quick question about the polymer stuff. How does that, let's address, how does it sit under cracked concrete panels? Does it improve stability? And how do the cracks wear on top of the polymer?
Okay, just a little background on concrete. When concrete is put in place, it automatically will get voids underneath. It's just the kind of the nature of dirt. That's why you have you had some soils that were either not compacted or lost compaction due to erosion. And because of the location of that intersection and because of the possibility of groundwater going underneath there, possibly from the gutter pans being cracked or no longer serviceable, you have had some loss of soil. There's that one area is down about 3.5 inches at the northernmost panels. That's a lot for a road. When you get into using the polymer versus using the mud jacking, the polymer material finds it's by nature finds the path of least resistance. The first place it goes is the voids, and it will continue to fill all the voids as it's injected. It's injected on a 4-foot grid, so we make sure that we hit every single bit of void space. It also, in the process of expanding, compacts the soil below. So you have immediate compaction right below, under the weight of the concrete. Now, when we're shooting a road, we're putting the weight of the vehicle on those panels as we shoot. So we actually have real-time, this is a 26,000-pound trailer, it's real-time, real-world situation. If we can't get it up with the truck on it, then it's not going to bear the weight of an 80,000-pound semi, which is a typical vehicle that uses that road. Another problem with that, and I do comparisons based on research done by doctors, PhD people who have studied this, mud jacking versus foam. Mud jacking is a process that relies on the pressure of the pumps that put the material into the ground underneath that slab to lift. The problem with that is that you can get lift out of mud under pressure, but you don't always get all of the voids taken care of, because you can lift concrete, but you can lift it in a pillar or a mud pie, whatever you want to call it. And having seen forensic investigations of what happens with that, you have an area that's lifted, but if it's not properly filled with material, then it can actually cause more damage by running semis over it than by not having those voids filled. So you get a level surface, it's fully supported, and I guarantee you that if there's any problems, I'll be the first one to know, because I'll notice it first, and under the warranty, it will be taken care of. But
What happens to the cracked panels? I mean,
the crack panels will be we can bring those up and support them. These, one of the very first time that we talked about this, the panels were addressed as we could remove and replace the entire 8-foot by 13-foot section. We could saw cut a small section of that out because those panels still are serviceable, and just cut around the mechanicals that are the primary cause of those. There's a manhole and a bell box in that intersection. Those could be cut around and removed. It would be a smaller concrete section to remove. I'm not sure that that's going to really change the dry time on it, or the amount of time you have to stay off of it. But when we discussed this a couple of weeks ago, we decided that, and we stood there and watched the traffic go over these things. They are cracked. But where they're cracked, you don't actually have, you have vehicle traffic that goes over those at a certain area. The primary traffic going westbound off of Vine to southbound 2nd Street is where that gets the most traffic over those cracked areas. We can support them. Maintenance on them, the material that we use will underseal the cracks. So from the underside of the concrete, it's fine. The surface of the intersection is by far the worst. There you have options of doing what you've been doing, which is using hot and cold patch. You also have the option to go with what could be a substantially more expensive material, but do it one time. It's the same material that airports use when they cut a groove into their concrete to put a piece of conduit that goes to the little blue light that's in the runway. They use a polymerized concrete patch that lasts for years. And the reason it lasts for years is because it actually bonds to the concrete, and you don't have the infiltration of salt, which is the primary reason that all of 2nd Street is got a 6 or 8 or 9 inch wide salt rut, is essentially what it is.
So with all that being said, and let's say we look at options 1 through 3 as one of the options that we decide upon. If we can get the road to last up to 10 years, but what about then the curb and gutters and all that? Is it gonna be able to last as long as we get the road to last if we choose to reconstruct the road 5 years from now in its entirely, or are those gonna fail sooner? I guess is my.
Yep. I don't think some of the curb and gutter, especially on the southeast quadrant, is very bad right at this moment. So it's something. I don't think that'll last 5 years, no.
You don't think the curb and gutter will last
that's
5
something
years?
we could do as an option, even with in-house kind of a project, or through our curb and gutter program, that we could do the worst curb and gutter and get which would be that southeast quadrant.
How
we
much
could do
does
that.
something like that? I know it's today and it's not 5 years from now, but an approximate, what's the cost?
Last year,
56,000, what would that be?
Last year, some of the mill and overlay projects, we had removal and replacement for about $30 a lineal foot for curb and gutter. And even in that southeastern quadrant is probably 30, 40 feet of curb and gutter.
And we're not talking about the, from where the asphalt starts at the north side of 2nd Street. That's not even in this bid.
No.
Which needs to be replaced as well. Hopefully it can fit into the street maintenance project.
There is an area that's the width of the 2nd Street and should go 30 to 40 feet north of the intersection. That would be an option we could maybe include in our mill and overlay project, and get that area milled and repaved.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I like the option number 1, and I appreciate the information we got from Mr. Gibbs. I don't think we're going to find a 10-year guarantee with really any of these other options. I don't like option number 2, just from the standpoint that we don't get that polymer fill throughout the entire area. It just seems like number 1 is really the most reasonable and probably the most reliable for the longest length of time.
Is that a motion?
Well, it is, including that, in-house we do that additional repair.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay.
I just wanted to make one correction. My understanding in option 2 is that under the areas that we didn't completely rebuild with concrete would be mud jacked, so you'd still end up with kind of what you were looking for. Although I do support your concept here, because as we get this layer, and from what I understand from the product, it is a plastic product, or so a polymer product. So as water penetrates through, it's not going to get into the substrate. It's not going to continue the eroding factor we have today. So that's what makes it more stable in the long run until it can be replaced.
Okay. John, any thoughts?
Yeah, it sounds like if we could cut out those couple chunks of concrete, I've got replaced small patches of concrete, do the filling with the polymer, and then it'd be nice to get a price on sealing cracks with a better sealant so we wouldn't have to continue to maintain them.
Mhm.
That might be a good option, and then have in-house curb and gutter program. It's kind of what
Okay.
but that sealant sounds like no one will have to mess around with those cracks for,
Yeah, there's something you need to understand about that, and our company does not do that type of service. It can be done in-house, but some of these materials actually require that you route out the concrete that you're going to.
I see.
And there are some added expenses over and above what the cost of the material itself is. There are some materials that you can put in that don't require routing. You've got manufacturer's warranty specifications or recommendations that you have to follow, or if the material is properly installed, then the warranty that they may have had is void. So you just have to kind of watch what but a little bit of research can take a lot of the extra work that's done annually out of the picture, and then it can still be done in-house, but it doesn't require that two guys run around in a truck for 3 weeks filling all this.
I think we'll have a better feel for the crack situation after the panels are raised.
I mean, all you gotta do is go down to Walnut and Second Street and see the same issues that we have in the cracks, and the concrete are half a foot wide all the way around down there.
And one of the major upsides to this is it's done in a day.
It's done in a day.
So we don't have to close Second Street.
Randy, any comments?
Yeah, I think the motion is short-sighted, and I don't think we're addressing the problem. And I think I'm going to vote for it just so something finally gets done with it. But as short-sighted as the motion is, I still think option 4 is the better one.
Okay. Mary?
I disagree with you, Randy. I think it's a good motion, and I think I liked it even better when we added that we do some in-house curb and gutter, because that was the one thing that was bugging me. And I'm very happy that it's going to only take a day and it's going to be on a Sunday, because I think it will hurt downtown businesses if we have to close that area. So,
Rich, I haven't heard from you, other than you seconded the motion.
I
Do you have anything
I
else?
like the first one right now because I'm hopeful that we will eventually replace Vine or Second Street, and we're not going to throw away $50-some thousand in the process of doing it. So,
Catherine, you're recommending for us to go out for bids?
Yes.
Is that part of your motion?
It can be.
Yeah, I think it needs to be.
It needs to be.
Okay. Is that okay with the
okay
second?
with the second.
Any other discussion on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Update on.
Any updates from any alderperson?
Don't we need update on projects?
What?
Projects.
Oh,
Okay.
really? Do you have any updates for us on the projects? Sure. Okay, I'm sorry, I almost missed you.
That's okay.
Shoot.
We got the memo, you have the project updates. The ones that are underlined are new from last week. So the public projects, we're helping Tom complete the mill and overlay project and the street maintenance project. And then what we just discussed on Second and Vine Street will go out for public bids to do the polymer injection. And we're working on the Grandview stormwater improvements and the feasibility study for Vine Street.
What's the timing on that one?
On which one?
Vine Street reconstruction drainage feasibility study. Have you just started that?
Just started that one.
Rough idea?
About
Or is-
2 months,
Okay,
2.5 months.
all right.
The private developments, Comfort Suites, there's going to be a pre-construction meeting tomorrow on that one. On Hudson Elder, they were installing the gas in the street and the boulevards and doing the building construction. On Mississippi Flats, you got the community building is up and they're working on more of the buildings closer to the road. And Heritage Market and Goodwill, we're working on punch list items. And those were projects from previous
Mayor,
engineering.
can I ask a question?
Sure.
On number 4, Heritage Market and Heritage Greens,
Yes.
the streetlight installation work remains. Is that the square that we're talking about? There's gonna be streetlights there or stop signs there?
Streetlights.
Okay, and I'm receiving many, many complaints because there's been many near-miss accidents due to the fact that all the roads are now open. Do we know a time frame as to when, I mean, have you heard from the developer, a time frame when the streetlights will be installed?
No, I haven't, but we can check with them.
Can we do that, please? 'Cause-
Sure. This was an item that was on the previous punch list, and it's still not
Yeah,
completed.
it's been on. So,
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else, any other questions? Thank you. At this point,
I would like to.
yep,
Communications,
yes,
I have one item.
go ahead, Lee.
Tomorrow evening up at White Camp Park, the park board will be opening the new pavilion, so I'd like to invite everybody to come out and check it out and check out the park and enjoy us for a little, enjoy meeting us and saying hi at the new park. Could have said that more eloquently, but anyhow, come down.
Did well.
5:30 tomorrow at White Camp Park.
Isn't it 6?
it's at 6, isn't it?
Oh,
5:30
I'm
is the
sorry, it's
meeting.
5:30. Our meeting's at 5:30, you Venus at 6.
All right. Any other older person have anything they'd like to add? City Attorney? All right, I have nothing. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move
So
to
moved.
adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second?
Meeting, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.